Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. Today I would like to report on some of the answers given to some of your questions by the 25th. So before we move forward, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel and please like this video and leave me a comment below and definitely ask questions if you have them, because I love that. I love asking the 25th about all these things. So you guys often have really great questions that I wouldn't have thought of. So this is great. Okay, so I'm going to start reading here from the transcript. Lorrayne is the hypnotist in this session. It was a BQH, Beyond Quantum Healing session. And when I refer to me, I'm referring to myself under hypnosis, which means the answers were coming from the 25th. All right, let's jump in. Lorrayne, this is a question from Rose Wood. Hi, Rose. If the 12,000 built a new Earth 10 billion years ago, did they know about the gain and the takedown at that time? Because you told us that on Earth, we decided to take this down only 300 Earth years ago. Me. So yeah, that's an excellent question, actually. Clea also had a similar question because the 25th, I said that Earth is 9 billion years old and New Earth is 10 billion years old. And the reason for that is because there was one moment when the takedown was willed and there is no time. And therefore, everything has just happened starting from that input. And so time doesn't really work the way we think it works. And so, yeah, it's almost like it all happened at the same time as a trickle effect from the intention. So the intention, in Earth years happened a very, very long time ago. And so in that sense, the 12,000, when they built New Earth, we decided to build it because we wanted to have this. But we didn't necessarily know that we were going to take down old Earth. But when we decided on the takedown, that's what we decided to do. But time doesn't quite work, Again, it's not a sequence. So did we know that this had happened? Because it happened now, right? It's always been happening. But we didn't necessarily have a plan like we put in sequence. So when we think of the takedown, yes, we can say that it was willed. We chose to do this 300 years ago, but truly it's always there. So it's not really one thing happening before the other. We always run into this problem when we think about time because we think in linear terms, but it doesn't work as linear terms. So the best way we can explain this is that it was always being willed, okay? Because the moment it's willed, it's always happening. And therefore, everything comes as a result of that. And so New Earth was always going to be there to catch us, even though we didn't know that we were going to necessarily take old Earth down, or when it would happen, or if it would happen, because we obviously tried to fix this planet. But New Earth was always going to be the place where we were going to go and have this consciousness close to the 25th, and other essences could have gone there. It didn't have to go this way. We didn't have to take this planet down. So the two things didn't necessarily happen in the sequence that we decided to take this down. So we built a new Earth, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question or her question? Lorrayne, I believe so. I know we have a lot of trouble with this concept of time. So I know I do for sure. So hopefully this clarified some things as opposed to just making it muddier. All right, Lorrayne. Question from Josie Adams. How did indigenous people come to America? Me. How did they come to America? Yeah, they were just a hybrid, an alien hybrid that was here. They didn't come. They were here just like other people were in other parts of the world. I mean, they're just like everybody else. So I don't know what Josie was wanting to know specifically. And I know you mentioned that you read different accounts, different stories about this, but they're just saying, basically, they're like everybody else. I mean, they were here. They were here from the beginning. Lorrayne, this is a question from Crystal, Life's Rose. It feels as if, as we grow older, we are not capable of loving as much as we did as children. Case in point, Clea with her cats now compared to Kitka. Kitka was my first cat, who I consider to this day like my sister. excuse me, even though she passed a long time ago. Why is that? And obviously this part about my cat was an example that I added to clarify with the 25th, what I was trying to get to. The original question, the initial question is from Crystal. And the gist is, as we grow older, we just don't love as much as we do as children. Why is that? Me. Yeah, it's what we discussed earlier when we talked about children. As you come into the game, you're still open, you're still connected, but then you want to be part of this game, and therefore you close more. And we said love is a very dangerous vibration on this planet because it kind of takes away from the concept of separation. So we don't do that liberally. You know, the more we go on, the less liberal we are with love. Even towards animals, it's not just, we just don't want to feel the same feelings. We want to have more limits to how we feel and how we play here. Lorrayne. Now, this is a question from Lorrayne herself. Why is the sun so much more intense than it was 40 years ago? Is this a plan of the dark for climate hoax? Me. No, again, it seems more intense because the veil is thinning, has thinned. And so there are many more holes in the matrix, and that's why you're seeing more of it. The sun hasn't changed. It's just that we're able to see more of it. We're exposed to more of it. Lorrayne. This is another question she has. In Earth time frame, how long has the veil been thinning? Me. It's been thinning basically pretty much for the better part of 80 years, to where it became, you know, obvious to a lot of people that something was happening. But again, we, you know, obviously the moment we decided to take this down, we started changing the vibration. You know, the vibration changed on the entire planet. So obviously this affected the veil as well. People started acting differently, knowing that there would be a takedown at some point. And so for the better part of the last 8 years is when we realized, when it's become pretty obvious, I mean, we're getting to the end of it, right? And so the veil is thin more faster. Lorrayne, this is a question from EDC. Many have noticed or think they've noticed that the sun used to be yellow while now it's white. Is this just perception, or has the sun changed color? And if so, why? Me. Well, the sun has not changed color. What is happening is that the veil has thinned. So that's why it looks different. Another question from EDC. What is the percentage of the group going with the aliens that has left? What is the percentage of the dark team that has left? Basically, he's checking on the timeline, which is a valid question. We're all curious about that, I'm sure. Me. The timeline is still in place. We said 80% of the dark have left, and the people going with the aliens are actually up to, what are they up to? They're telling me 27% have left, and the date of this session was June 8th. So as of June 8th, 27% of the people going with the aliens have left. And they did say originally when they told us that this phase would start, it would take a couple of months. So it started towards the beginning of May, and it will take until the end of June. So we're getting there. I think that's why a lot of us now are noticing that there are less people around. There's just less people walking around. Lorrayne. So this is actually a question from me. How do we know we're getting ready to leave since a lot of the proofs have not happened yet? Where's the proof that will help us to know? And the reason we're saying a lot of the proofs, one is this thing, recall of this thing, and the other was a personal proof that they told me I would have, but now they told me that this proof actually would not happen because it was related to a person who's changed his mind. He was supposed, I'll tell you a little bit about it so you understand why it's not happening. He's someone that I know. They told me was going to pass because he wanted to go back to 25th. And now they told me that he's changed his mind because he doesn't want to do this to his family. He has a very small child and he has elderly parents, and he just basically at this point, he's just going to wait. So they don't even know when everything gets taken down, that's when he's going to go, but he's going to go back to the 25th still. Okay, me. Yeah, we will notice. The ones of us that want to notice will notice that there's less and less people, and we will know. We'll just know, just like we talked about you before we started this, and they're referring to Lorrayne. We talked about Lorrayne before we started this, and we said you're going to breathe freely. You're going to know when something is very different, and we already feel it. We already feel that it's different now. but it's going to become more and more obvious to a lot of people. They're referring to the fact that, and we talked about this before, and again, I'll clear all this. Well, Lorrayne, I would never speak about somebody else without asking for permission. But basically, she has an issue with breathing, like she can't breathe freely. She's had asthma in her life as well. And they told her, it's actually in the previous session to this, if you've seen that video, they told her that 2 or 3 days before the takedown, the actual takedown, she will finally breathe freely, which she hasn't been able to do in years, in a long time. And that's because at that point, her essence doesn't really want to be encumbered, doesn't really want to feel like it's in this game anymore. Our essence wants to be focused on something else. And everything we're experiencing now in terms of our bodies and whatever is because our essence is still trying to feel like we're here, but not really, less and less. We want to be in the game less and less. And so that's going to be the trigger for her to know that, we're about to leave. Lorrayne, this is a question from Amy D. If bodies are just energy, how are they different from essence? Me. Yeah, so in terms of energy, energy is not different. It's indivisible, except that we created the bodies. We created the bodies. The bodies don't create the essence. So the essence goes on forever. And the body is something like a hologram that we created out of energy to do a certain job. The bodies don't have the same consciousness that we have. It's just like when we talked about previously, when we talked about source. Source creates all kinds of things, but they're not all equal, even though they come from the same energy. So we created the bodies and we created them from energy, but they're not like us. They are not made, even though it's technically one energy, the result is different. And again, source does the same thing. Source has created angels, for example, the 25th, etc. Even though it all comes from the same energy, the output, the product, the end product is different. Same with essences and bodies. Bodies are different, something we created. Lorrayne, question from Akari. You told us that seeing repetitive number patterns is a sign that we're leaving ourselves open to see more than just 3D. We're in tune with the multiverse, but why do the number patterns change over time? Why do we see 111 sequences for a while and then this might change to 888 or 5555 or something else? Do different numbers correspond to different energies? Do we set ourselves up to see different patterns at different times? Me. No, it's not so much different energies. Yes, of course, different sequences can mean different things or can connect to different parts of the multiverse, but it's not that. What matters is not the sequence. It doesn't matter whether you see 555 or 1234, 1234. What matters is what that means to you. You set this up. The higher self your higher self is the one sending the messages. And so because you're higher self, you set yourself up to awaken. So what matters is the trend, is the fact that initially maybe you only see once and then you feel like you're evolving because now you're seeing numbers all day long and they're more complex numbers. So you think, oh my God, I'm getting really more connected. And now you're starting to open your mind to the fact that, oh my God, I am connected. That's all it is. It's not that a certain sequence is different from a different sequence. It's that if it means to you, it's sending you a message, it's making you aware of the fact that you're evolving and now you see things. And therefore you're doing something right, from your own perspective. And this is exactly what happened to Clea. She started to see very simple number sequences that couldn't really be escaped. Like they were kind of obvious in her face, like a bunch of ones or a bunch of fours or whatever it is. And all of a sudden now she sees very complex number frequencies. I think sequences, my autocorrected wrong. So she sees very complex number sequences that come up all the time. And she sees number sequences all day long. And this to her signifies how much quicker her energy was becoming and how much more in the flow she was. And so it's almost like feedback on the things you're doing, or we choose to take it as feedback on the things that we're doing. Because again, you don't have to. The same number might show up for people and they don't even notice them. But our essence set us up to see those number sequences and make this connection so we can move forward in our awakening. Lorrayne. This is Holly Blossom's question. What is the Mandela effect? Me. Yeah, so the Mandela effect is simply the fact that it's proof that we create our reality. So you don't have to, even with resets, you don't have to participate in the reset. You don't have to believe anything that everybody else believes in. And that's what the Mandela effect is. There are many people that even with things that are factual, they can say, oh no, this happened. It happened this way. Like, no, it didn't. And both people are right. It's basically another clue we leave for ourselves to remind ourselves that really there is no objective reality. It's just what the reality we individually want to live in that is real. The Mandela effect is so fascinating. If you guys don't know what it is, please go Google it because it's so interesting. Lorrayne, this is a question from Heath. Was there a particular event that caused the decision to take this game down? Something that made the decision inevitable? Me. Yeah, so they're telling me the fall of Atlantis really is what did it. When we realized that no matter what, this was just not going to stop. It was only going to get worse and worse. That's when we decided, like, okay, when we decided, we said, okay, that's it. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't an event. I mean, you could call it an event. It was just when we realized that it was just no good. Lorrayne, another question from EDC, Edward. What is the story with changing music from 432 to 440 megahertz? They say it was done because 432 is the frequency of the universe. So they wanted to mess with it so that music wouldn't help us connect anymore. Me. So yes, they thought that that would help as well, but no, it doesn't matter what they do. We will always connect when we choose to. We will always awaken when we choose to awaken. So they can't. They can mess around with whatever they want, and they will always fail because the essence is free. This is a question from Crystal Life's Rose. Did you hear the video by a Jewish rabbi who talked about what they put in fast food meat? And I had not seen this video. So I thought she was talking about, one thing, but then Lorrayne specifies later, so you'll hear. Without just coming out and saying it, as I'm not sure it would be censored, are they still doing that? I remember you saying there are still things going on underground, so I wonder if this too is still happening. And this is Lorrayne's addition. She said, if they're still putting fetuses in fast food, I didn't know that's what it was. I figured that she was talking about something else that was put in fast food that was not animal meat. So either way, just as bad. Me, no, they were, yes, but no, they're not anymore. A lot of that has collapsed and it's not happening anymore. So that was good news. Lorrayne, this is a question from Alina. What is behind the irrational hatred and desire to cancel everything Russian among the Western elites? And I thought this was a great question because I have seen this happen for a long time, and I'm not even Russian. Me. Yeah, they're just not being able to control them as much as they have other countries. And so while there is a lot of infiltration, of course, it's not like all Russian elites are, it's not like all Russian politicians are angels, but the Russians, because again, we've said every country has a different history, a different theme that they're working through, a different experience. Russia has always been a thorn in the side of the world governments or the United States, etc. Because even though they do a lot of these things together, because again, a lot of Russian politicians have been criminals, just like the Western politicians, the Russian people, for some reason, are not as easily controllable as some in other countries. They have a different type of experience that they want to experience, a different type of behavior. This is one of the reasons they're having them destroy themselves with vodka in all these drinks. It's the same thing they did with the Indians in the United States, and I mean the indigenous people in the United States, because sometimes you cannot manipulate them. So you just let them destroy themselves. So this is why they're trying. They're just not doing along. They're just not going along with a plan. They're always difficult, the Russians, you know, in the eyes of the people that have different plans for the planet. So I am grateful for this. And if you guys don't know, if you've never read the series of books, I love it. It's called The Ringing Cedars of Russia. And the heroine of the book is Anastasia. It is an amazing series of books that even teenagers can read. And it just tells you a little bit about the spirit of the Russians, where they come from. And it is incredible. I think it's one of the best series of books ever. Lorraine, another question from Alina. Do the essences outside of the 12,000 also have a team of several people operating in our realm, as in embody multiple people at the same time? This was my explanation to her question. I wanted to make sure it was clear for the 25th. So basically 12,000 can embody up to 12 incarnations, each on this planet, again, for reasons of achieving an objective. And she wants to know, is there any other group of people that does this? Me. No, they don't. But now, can you? We said before, like if you want to have an experience somewhere else, you can. But no, they don't. They generally don't. There's no purpose for it. Now, if in essence wanted to experience that, it could. They're telling me, though, that not really on the same planet. Oh, no, this was my misunderstanding. In fact, I checked with them. I said, because they were saying you cannot really commit to two different NPCs on the same planet. And I was like, wait, hold on. So can you or can you not? No, they're saying no, you can if you want to. So in other words, the essence is always free. It just takes a lot of effort. So basically they're saying that most essences don't want to do this. So let me recap this. I want to make sure it's clear. Other people are not doing this outside of the 12,000 because really there's no point. They've already explained. I mean, what's the point of wanting to accelerate things? The only problem we have is boredom. So we wouldn't want to accelerate things by living multiple lifetimes at the same time. And so, yeah, we just don't. Now, can we do it? Yes, we can. All right. So I think that is the last question. So I'm going to leave it at this. And I want to thank you for watching this video as always. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.